Welcome, everyone, to today's Explainer. I'm super excited to be your guide as we explore one of the most incredible, bustling factories on the entire planet, the human body. Every single second, your cells are just hard at work, right? They're constantly building up and breaking down materials just to keep you alive and energetic. But just like any large-scale industrial operation, manufacturing a product comes with a bit of a catch. Think about it for a second. What actually happens if a factory never takes out its trash? Imagine a massive manufacturing plant where they literally just let the waste pile up on the floor day after day, week after week. Eventually, the machines would clog up, the workers couldn't move around, and the whole place would completely shut down. Well, our bodies face the exact same problem. Our metabolic activities produce toxic waste, and if we don't have a reliable way to safely throw that trash out, the results would be absolutely disastrous for our health. Okay, let's dive into this. Here is our agenda for today's lesson. 1. The body's waste problem. 2. Meet your kidneys. 3. Nephrons, microscopic filter workers. 4. 4 steps to urine. 5. When kidneys need help. And finally, 6. The backup cleaning crew.
Section 1. The body's waste problem.
So, every living being needs energy, right? But producing that energy unfortunately creates toxic byproducts. Our cellular factory is constantly performing metabolic activities, which is basically just the building up and breaking down of bodily materials. And the result of all that hard work? Wastes. We're talking carbon dioxide, excess salts, water, and nitrogenous wastes like urea, uric acid, and ammonia. Now, ammonia is actually the most poisonous waste product of our metabolism. Imagine leaving fish scraps in your kitchen trash can for months. That's exactly the kind of highly toxic buildup we're trying to avoid inside our blood. Let's play detective for a quick moment and look at these numbers. On the left, we have the normal ranges for substances floating around in our blood, and on the right, the normal ranges found in our urine. Notice how urea in the blood is measured in tiny, tiny milligrams, just 15 to 40. But look at the urine column. It's 20 to 30 whole grams per day. That massive difference really shows you exactly what our body is actively pulling out of our system and throwing away. Moving on to Section 2, Meet Your Kidneys. So, how exactly do we pull that waste out of the blood? Well, this brilliantly illustrates the primary solution. Take a look at these two bean-shaped structures sitting in the lower back. These are your kidneys, located right there in your abdominal cavity. Now, you might notice something a little bit quirky. The right kidney is sitting just a little bit lower than the left one. And that is not a mistake. Think of it kind of like packing a suitcase. The massive liver takes up so much room on the top right side that the right kidney just has to set a little lower to fit in the space. Let's zoom in a bit closer here. A human kidney is about 10 centimeters long and 5 to 6 centimeters wide. If you were to slice it right open, you'd see a dark outer zone called the cortex and a pale inner zone called the medulla. But the really important part to grasp here is the logistics of it all. Think of the renal artery as a massive delivery truck pulling into the factory loaded up with dirty, waste-filled blood. The kidneys filter it, and then the renal vein acts as the outgoing truck, carrying the freshly cleaned blood right back out to the rest of the body. Meanwhile, all that extracted waste heads down exit pipes called ureters, straight down to the bladder.
All right, Section 3. Nephrons, microscopic filter workers.
1.3 to 1.8 million. I absolutely love this fact. That staggering number represents the amount of microscopic, thin, tubular filter workers operating inside just one single kidney. These incredible functional units are called nephrons, and let me tell you, they are the true unsung heroes of your excretory system. Now, what's really interesting about this is the sheer complexity of just a single nephron. Blood rushes into that little cup-like structure you see on the left, which is called Bowman's capsule. Think of it kind of like a coffee filter holding a very tight bundle of capillaries called the glomerulus. From there, the fluid travels through this incredible winding roller coaster called the renal tubule, which includes a steep U-shaped dip known as the loop of Henle. It's along this twisted microscopic path that the actual sorting of the body's trash and treasure happens. Section 4. 4 steps to urine. Let's break down how this whole manufacturing process builds step by step. Step 1 is glomerular filtration. Blood flows in under incredibly high pressure, and water and waste are literally squeezed out into Bowman's capsule, kind of like wringing out a wet sponge. We call this primary urine. But wait, we're not done. Step 2 is tubular reabsorption. The body acts like a highly efficient recycling center here, realizing, hey, wait a minute, we threw away some good stuff in there. So, as the fluid moves through the tubule, Surrounding capillaries aggressively recycle essential nutrients and excess water right back into the bloodstream. Then, step 3 is tubular secretion. This is where any remaining stubborn wastes still in the blood are actively pumped directly into the tubule. Finally, we have step 4, the formation of concentrated urine. The body reabsorbs as much water as possible to prevent dehydration, leaving behind a concentrated toxic liquid that is ready for disposal. Once the urine is fully formed, it flows down to the bladder where it's temporarily stored. The release of this urine is a process called micturition. Basically, as the bladder fills up, the pressure inside increases, which stretches the muscular walls and triggers a reflex to open up the upper sphincter muscle. But thankfully, the lower sphincter is controlled by our conscious brain, so we can hold it in until we find a bathroom. It's actually quite a complex neurological process, which is exactly why controlling these muscles is a learned skill that babies just haven't mastered quite yet.
Which brings us to section 5, when kidneys need help.
So, what happens when the factory's main cleaning mechanism actually breaks down? If a person's kidneys completely fail, all that toxic waste we talked about earlier will rapidly build up in their blood. In this case, we have to call in an outside emergency cleaning service, a process you've probably heard of known as dialysis. The patient's blood is carefully routed out of their body and passed through a machine filled with a special dialyzing solution. This machine essentially acts as an artificial kidney, extracting the wastes and then returning the freshly cleaned blood safely back into the patient. It is truly a modern medical marvel. But the crucial point here is that while dialysis is amazing and absolutely saves lives, it's also incredibly time-consuming and pretty exhausting for the patient. The ultimate, best long-term solution for acute renal failure is a kidney transplant. A healthy matching kidney, which is often generously donated by a close relative, is surgically implanted into the patient to just take over those filtration duties completely. Let's look at section 6, the backup cleaning crew. Now, while the kidneys are definitely the stars of the show, our cellular factory actually has secondary waste management teams. These organs pitch in to help excrete waste too. The lungs are constantly working to remove gaseous wastes like carbon dioxide and water vapor. Your skin uses sweat glands to extract excess water, salts, and oils. The liver is super fascinating. It actually destroys old red blood cells when they reach about 120 days old, breaking them down into bile pigments, which are then excreted out. And finally, the large intestine helps eliminate excess heavy salts like calcium, magnesium, and iron. It is a total team effort to keep this factory floor perfectly clean. Real quick, before we wrap things up, I want to clear up a major biology misconception for you students out there. People very often confuse the words excretion and secretion, but they are very different things. Think of excretion as taking out the trash. It's the passive removal of unwanted, harmful wastes from the body, like urine, sweat, or carbon dioxide. Secretion, on the other hand, is like the factory shipping out a highly valuable product. It's the active transport of useful materials your body actually needs to function, like digestive enzymes, hormones, or even your tears. Simply put, excretion is throwing away the trash, while secretion is moving the treasure. And there you have it, a complete behind-the-scenes tour of your body's ultimate waste management factory. From those busy little microscopic nephrons all the way to the emergency backup systems, your biology is just incredibly resilient and beautifully organized. So as you go about your day, just remember all the hard work your cells are doing behind the scenes. Your body filters waste perfectly, every single day, just to keep you healthy and alive. So what will you fuel it with tomorrow? Keep asking questions, keep learning, and I'll see you in the next explainer.